Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Welcome to Any Subject Sunday. Any Subject Sunday is basically any questions you have. I will pick one topic or answer a bunch of questions. And today, a very good question was asked last week. I thought it was quite good. How do I start my projects? How do I decide on my hook, my yarn, my colors, all of that? So that is what we're talking about today, how I get started on a project. So the first thing I do is walk over to my yarn wall and pick the yarn I want to work with. So if I'm making a sweater, I'll be thinking about if I want it to be like chunky sweater or a thin sweater, or like a cardigan, like heavy or thin, light and airy or warm. What's the function of it? And I will go and find a yarn that I want to work with that I have in my stash for the heat that I want, the weight that I want, and the fastness, the speed that I want. If I need something super quick, I'm going to pick a chunky yarn. If I want something super delicate that maybe I'm gifting to somebody, or I want it to be like light and airy and just kind of soft, I'll pick a thinner yarn. If it's for summertime here, I'll pick a cotton. If it's for winter, I'll pick like a blend or a wool blend or an acrylic blend. Take all those things into consideration when I go over and pick the yarn I'm starting with, or the base yarn of my project. So for this video, I'm just gonna say I'm making granny squares, and I've picked Saver 100 in this nice kind of, I think they call it fuchsia, but it's kind of a red. It's kind of a, they call it like fuchsia. It's not fuchsia. But anyway, I get my ball of yarn and I get my hooks. So then I make up a little swatch, and I start with a 4mm hook down here. And then I go up to 5 for 2 rows. So 2 rows of a 4mm, 2 rows of a 5mm, 2 rows of a 6mm, 7mm, and then 8mm. I normally wouldn't do 8mm with a size 4 chunky or size 4 worsted yarn, but just for the video, so you can kind of see the reason why I do it. So you can kind of feel the stitches, and I find the texture that I want for my project. If it's just something loose and drapey, I might use a big hook. If it is a handbag, I would use a small hook. And something in the middle, like a garment or a scarf, I'd use something in the middle. So I use every hook that I think I'm going to be using so that I can feel the drape of it. Because see, like this has no drape at all, and this is super drapey. The 8mm, 7mm, very soft. So I'll use that to help me decide the firmness and density of my stitches. And these are double crochets. I don't do single. I just do doubles because I want to feel the softness, the airiness of it, the drape, or the firmness, depending what I'm going for. So for granny squares, again, I'd pick somewhere in the middle, depending on the purpose of it. Like if I want it to be like firm or loose, somewhere between a 5 and a 6mm hook. So I have that sorted out. Then I will take this to my color wheel. If I need to, sometimes I just walk over. Usually I just walk over and do it. But if in doubt, totally check out your color wheel. And I'll do a separate video on this because I know it's a bit of a, conversation. But I'll roll this around to find the same kind of color that my swatch is. And I think it's kind of like this red. I think that's the closest, that one right there. So they call it violet red up there. It's not perfect, you're just getting the idea of it, right? So then if I wanted the complementary color, I would just pick this green right down at the bottom, so from top to bottom, and that would give me 2 colors for my granny square. If you wanted more colors, then forget about the green that's right below. You can have these 2, see there's 2 little arrows there. I'll put a link to this color wheel down below too. It's a really good color wheel. And I think it's like $8 or something, it's not much. And the like split complementary are these 2 here. So you could do like an appley green or a yellowy green and like a sea foam kind of green with the same color. Or you can do your color, which is at the top, and these 2 ones on the side. You could do it with a blue and like a goldeny kind of yellow. So So then I would think about what yarn I have, how much yarn I have, how many colors I want in my granny squares. So, and then take that information and go and look at what other yarn I have. So then I'd find my other colors, and I would start also thinking if how much yarn I have of each color. If I don't have much of one, I'll use that for the very centers of my granny squares. Whatever I have the most of, I'll use for the biggest amount. If there's a joining color, I'll think about that if I want it to be white or gray or beige or sand or black or whatever I want to do for joining. So I kind of get all that pulled together. I get my whip basket. I have all these little baskets from my grocery store. They're super great. I tie little nail scissors into each one of them, so I know where they are and my kids can't take them. And a needle with stitch markers in a little gum container. So I keep all this in my basket ready to go, and then I will add my yarn and the hook that I want to use for that project. So I have all that ready to go, and then I would just go and start working on it. Boom, that's how I do it. I also, this is only 10 stitches across. I don't do a whole long, big garment. Like I don't start doing the project and then decide on the hook. I literally make a swatch, unless I've used the yarn before and I know, but if I just wanna like check it out, just a 10 stitch swatch so you can check out and you know what your hook is gonna do with that yarn. So that's how I start my projects. I think of what yarn I have, I think of what I want to make, I think of the density, I think of the colors, and then I make it happen. I don't let different, like mixing fibers or textures, I don't let that slow me down. I go for the color. If the color is in, you know, some crazy yarn, I will do my best to incorporate that because color is everything. I don't want to put in a drab color if I'm going for things with pop. Like ag green is not the green if it's not the right shade. You know what I mean? So shade and tone of colors is the most important thing to me. Texture, that can come and go. If it's a skinnier yarn, I'll use 2 strands or 3 strands. I'll mix it with another yarn. I'll do anything to have the right colors in my projects from my stash because I cannot go shopping. I can't go and buy more yarn. I can order it online, but then I have to wait for it to get here. So I work with what I have and I try to keep it as plump as I can. So that's how I start my projects. How do you start yours? I'd love to hear all about it in the comments below. Thanks for inviting me over. I had a great time hanging out with you. I hope you did also. And we'll see you in the next video. Stay hooked. Colors are everything. Yarn and colors. Colored yarn. I love it. I love color. I think that's why I love this room so much. All of the, like, anything is possible over there. Anything is possible. I love it. So inspirational. Have a great day.